afternoon, and welcome to AIADA's Auto Talk. I'm your host, Rachel Solomani. Before we get started, a few quick reminders as always. Anyone who registered for today's program will be receiving a copy by the end of this week. And if you have any questions, be sure to enter them into the Q&A bar at the lower right-hand side of your interface. Today we welcome Jessica Stafford, Senior Vice President, Consumer Solutions at Cox Automotive. Jessica, I know you have a lot to get to today, so I'll let you take it away.
Great. Thank you so much. And thank you for having me today. As Rachel said, I'm Jessica Stafford. I lead our consumer-facing brands and businesses at Cox Automotive. So these are businesses like AutoTrader, Kelley Blue Book, Dealer.com, and our e-commerce business. And I've actually been with Cox over 17 years now and have spent my entire career focused on marketing businesses with a really deep focus on consumers, understanding their behavior and their needs, understanding what will influence them, and figuring out how to really lean into who they are and what they're looking for. So today's topic is really near and dear to my heart, and I'm really excited to be here to talk to you about today's buyer, about the consumer of today, and ultimately how to win with that buyer, knowing who they are, knowing what they're looking for. We're going to talk about some of the challenges that we're facing in our automotive business these days and discuss some of the shifts that we're seeing in the market. Given these challenges and, of course, the current environment, we're going to also talk about 3 key ways that you can play to win with the car buyers of today. So to get us started, I think when we think about how the market looks today, we saw a bit of a flatter spring bump than normal this year, mostly due to higher interest rates and continued inflation. But as forecasters predicted, there was also a pronounced shift to a buyer's car market, meaning, buyers have a wider supply to choose from these days, and that puts a downward pressure on prices, which I know we're all experiencing. I know a lot of the dealers who I've spoken to recently are really struggling with this. And as we see the buyer's market continue, the key and what we're really going to focus on today is how do we lean into what consumers are looking for, be ready to deal on their terms, and lean into the ways that they want to shop and buy these days. And know that meeting consumers' needs doesn't mean that we're going to sacrifice any dealer profits along the way. So let's dig right in and talk about what we really mean by it being a buyer's market. What does that mean for our businesses? Well, the reality is there's kind of 2 sides to it. There's a positive and maybe a slightly negative side to a buyer's market. We measure everything we possibly can, of course, at Cox Automotive. And one of the areas that we're really focused on, and we look at data and look for changes over time, is overall dealer sentiment. And so the latest Cox Automotive Dealer Sentiment Index shows that dealers' main concern right now is profitability. And while the data shows this super clear, it's also pretty obvious right now. In talking to our customers, a huge concern is how different profitability looks today than it has over the last couple of years, of course. And while it may sound a little cliche these days to talk about how different things are since the pandemic, it's just the reality. A buyer's market, especially one that we have right now with credit still tight and interest rates still high, supply and prices normalizing, it puts even more added pressure on profit, and it makes competition even more fierce out there for you all. So that might be the negative side, if you will, or maybe just the tougher side for dealers, because we have a lot to navigate in those factors. But let's talk also about the positive side. So in a buyer's market, it's also an opportunity to win new buyers who are entering the market. And with consumers knowing that they have more options to consider and that there's a lot of competitive pricing out there, there's also a good chance to conquest those who may be ready to maybe try a new brand or upgrade their vehicle or look at some different options. So a buyer's market is ripe for the process and the experience improvements that come from a more modern retailing ecosystem, which is exactly what our consumers are looking for these days. They're looking for a consistent and connected omni-channel shopping, buying, and owning experience that meets every shopper's needs exactly where they are. So, I mean, I like to kind of think about it in normal terms. Think about how you, as a consumer, shop for things, whether it's a vehicle or anything else. You might start shopping online, and then you go into a store in person. I mean, maybe you're looking for electronics for a TV. You might start online, then go to a Walmart, go to a Target. You want to see the size of the TV in person. Maybe then you take out your phone and you cross shop pricing and sales and where that TV is available in different places. And then you might either buy that TV there in the store, or you might add it to your cart and buy it online so it gets shipped directly to your house. The connected experience that lives online and in store and everything in between is really key to leaning into this kind of buyer's market that we have today. And we are invested in delivering on a modern retailing ecosystem so that automakers and auto retailers can enable every path to purchase and deliver consistent experiences for consumers out there, but also for dealers and dealership staff. We're kind of committed to empowering you with everything you need to win the consumer's trust, win their business, win their loyalty, even and maybe even especially in a buyer's market. So this connected retailing ecosystem is best for consumers, but it's also best for dealers. Enabling a better seller experience is key to driving profitability in this market as well. And like we said, I know that that's a big concern out there today. So, the connected ecosystem really needs to lean into what today's car buyers are looking for. And so, to lean into what today's car buyers are looking for, let's talk about who that car buyer is. The last buyer's market that we experienced was back in 2019. And, that being 5 years ago, a lot has changed, of course. So let's look at the 2019 buyer versus today's 2024 buyer. And as we go through some of these statistics and some of this information, I want you to think about whether your operation has changed in order to meet these new consumer needs and these new consumers where they are. So let's take a look at a few of these stats on the screen here. So new vehicle average transaction price has increased 24% from 2019. And used vehicle ATP has also gone up about 37%. Another trend we're seeing, of course, we're going to talk a little bit more about this later, but new EV sales in the US have increased nearly 400% since 2019. Another big shift we've seen in behavior is that 7% of car buyers purchased fully online in 2023. Now, back in 2019, this was almost too small to even measure, but just a few years later, we're really seeing more and more consumers wanting to do more and more of the purchase online and more dealers enabling that digital experience as well. So, big shifts in behavior there. Few other statistics, multicultural shoppers have increased from 16% in 2019 up to 25% in 23. And then our younger generations, Gen Z and millennial shoppers, have doubled over this time period, which makes a lot of sense given the age of that segment. And they're now representing a much larger segment of buyers. And most importantly, the behavior of all of these consumers itself has actually changed. When we take a look across platforms like AutoTrader, Kelley Blue Book, dealer.com websites, where we see millions of shoppers every day, we can see the actions of shoppers and how those actions are shifting over time. We're seeing more people shop by payment. We're seeing more people pencil their deal online ahead of time and even submitting leads that include a lot more detail in the information that they're submitting to the retailer. Everything from financing to deal structuring details, way more than we saw before. Consumers are open to working those deals online and are giving us a ton of data ahead of time with the expectation that we use that data to give them an even better shopping experience later on. Another key change in behavior that we're seeing is a demand for the omni-channel buying and shopping experiences that I was mentioning just a couple minutes ago. Um, Shoppers are no longer differentiating between online and in-store experiences. I mean, whether they're buying cars or TVs, they want one experience, regardless of whether they completed the last step of their shopping process in a dealer's showroom or at home on their couch using their phone. They want us to remember their actions. They want us to know their data and meet them where they are. So Given what we know about today's buyer, let's talk about a few specific ways to win in today's market, to use that information to move forward and win. So, number one, it's super important that we work together. I know this may seem obvious, but more than ever, we need to all work together to move our industry forward. Dealers, manufacturers, tech providers, lenders, we all have to work together to improve the car buying process and to keep the car business profitable during times like this and when our customers are really leaning in and expecting that connected experience. Part of providing this kind of concept of a connected experience across all channels comes back to all of the businesses, all of the vendors that are a part of that car buying experience being connected as well and enabling the end customer to feel super confident and super comfortable with their experience. So while achieving this consistency may seem like a simple step by step flow where we use different technologies at each step and we just need to connect them, we all know in our automotive industry that that's actually super complicated. So for us on the Cox Automotive side, we've spent the last nearly 15 years acquiring and building software and tools to realize this goal, realize this connected ecosystem. We've also built some advanced automation and data intelligence that are first of its kind in the industry in order to enable that experience as well. So these technologies not only provide shoppers with the experience they want, what they're looking for, but also makes it easier to get work done for all parties involved, for the seller, for the buyer. We've connected everything from marketing programs, when you look at how we're bringing consumers into your shopping experiences, to those shopping experiences themselves across third party sites, as well as dealer websites, and even the in store shopping process. And then kind of connecting that step in the process straight into the dealership CRM and a seamless deal management system, and all the way through to the transaction. For us, we've built out some foundational elements, like something we call DealXG, which serves as the pipes that can connect data across platforms, all the way to deal APIs and even some consistent consumer shopping tools. We've got a tool called My Wallet that lives across all sites, and it's kind of a way to allow consumers to shop and compare vehicles and carry their data around them in their virtual wallet. So these connections and working together will make huge strides in how we serve today's car buyer. Next up, I mentioned that we're focused on data intelligence and automation, and kind of that advanced technology that's first of its kind in this industry. And that really leans into AI and automation, which we all need to embrace for its huge potential to impact our industry. We're focused on using AI to improve communication between buyers and sellers, to help remove any friction and make the experience better, as I mentioned, for all sides of the equation. And we can do this through predictability and automation and personalization in our experiences. For us, we've got over 100 applications of AI in use today and quite a few more in the pipeline. But the idea is to lean into how we leverage data. So we've got massive amounts of data, and that's great, but the data is only as good as how you use it. One of the most powerful applications of AI for automotive retail is predictive insights. So let me explain to you how that works. For us, we see over 7 out of 10 shoppers across our platform. So we collect a lot of data. But the insights that are actually derived from that data are what's key. These insights tell retailers exactly what each shopper truly wants these days, enabling retailers like yourselves to stay in control and maximize the profitability of every single deal. We can triangulate the data to see not only what a shopper's looking for, but how likely they are to buy and when they're going to buy and what else they might be open to adding on. To give you a few examples, Cox Automotive has been using AI for a long time in our VIN Solutions CRM. So we've got a tool called Automotive Intelligence, which identifies ready-to-buy shoppers who are actually 9 times more likely to purchase in the next 30 days. So by using a tool like this, it helps retailers focus on the most qualified and ready to buy customers so you can work deals that will close and be most profitable. All of that kind of connecting back to the concerns of today. How do I give consumers the best experience, but how do I make sure it's also driving profitability for my business? And this is a great way to do that. Now, across consumer marketplaces like Kelley Blue Book, AutoTrader, or Dealer.com websites, for us, we're also using AI to predict consumers' shopping preferences, everything from pricing sensitivity to financing ability, and we leverage it to personalize and experience every single step of the way. We see that consumers have come to expect that kind of experience. They expect digital experiences to know them and to anticipate their needs. This helps those consumers find the right car at the right price more easily, and it also helps dealers engage with them in a more personal way, meeting them where they are and what they need. And when you do that, you create a trust and a relationship with the buyer that's just critical in this buyer's market. And another way that we're using AI is leaning hard into intelligent automation that leverages all that data to automate tasks. So when we automate tasks, not only is it saving time from manual work for you all, for retailers, but it also adds intelligence to everything we do so that every decision can be data driven and can be optimized. So some examples of that. We've been in market with a fully automated used car e-commerce offering for a few years now, and that enables a consumer to buy a car completely self-paced and automated from home with no human interaction should they not want it. It's all done with digital and connected tools that are also enabled with key automation, and we just released our new car version of this as well. Now, although this allows for a car to be sold completely online without manual intervention and in under 15 minutes, we also know that most consumers these days do still want to talk to a dealer. They want to ask questions. They want to understand the product. They want to touch and feel the vehicle. And again, they want to experience this kind of connected omni-channel shopping experience. So now, the way we're looking at it, we can leverage the amazing intelligent automation that was developed and even put it in the hands of, let's say, a finance manager or a sales rep to give them the tools to drive a great deal for their customer and also a more profitable deal for the dealership. So these are ways that we can leverage amazing tools like automation to build even more profitability into our operations. And then finally, I just wanted to touch on generative AI. It's something that everybody's talking about. You guys have I'm sure, heard and researched and read about generative AI and where it's going. We're prototyping several Gen AI use cases on our side, all with a significant human review step, as is best practices right now. So, leveraging automation to generate content, that's the key here, but always putting kind of a human eye to the content before using it, as we're still learning. The technology is still learning, and we want to make sure that as we use this technology, we're testing it out appropriately as we use it. And so we're using Gen AI for assisted marketing content, search engine optimization copy, creation of digital ads, personalized communications. I mean, we're even using it as customer care support as well. And we're leaning into AI as we know that it's going to make our industry and our solutions better and smarter over time. And while it can seem overwhelming at times to some and maybe even a little scary, there's no need to be afraid because it's a way to drive more productivity out of our businesses and our teams by giving them yet another tool that'll drive smarter and faster decisions. And again, back to kind of that big picture we're talking about today, these are technologies that will help us come together as an industry and drive a connected omni-channel buying experience for buyers and for sellers. Now, while AI is a huge buzzword these days, we're also obviously talking a lot about the EV space, which brings me to my third way to win today's car buyer, and that's through more education in the EV space in order to boost demand. We're focused on educating consumers and the industry all about battery life, long-term repair costs, and their impact on EV values, which is still the biggest area that kind of concerns consumers and deters them maybe from buying an EV. They're still unsure and unaware of what to even research when it comes to EVs. And so for Cox Automotive, we want to keep EV demand growing by providing tools and content to help consumers with shopping and with model comparison, with EV service recommendations and vehicle valuations in this kind of new and evolving space. So we've launched a bunch of resources on Kelley Blue Book, like an EV guide that'll help consumers learn more about this space. On the Auto Trader side, we now list EV specific vehicle data such as battery warranty info and EPA range in the listings themselves. We know that consumer behavior shows us that shoppers want to kind of combine research in their shopping process. So showing EV specific information and education in the context of the vehicle itself is super helpful. So your customers are going to learn about EVs as they look at specific vehicles. And there's still a lot of unknowns when it comes to EVs, but a few facts that we wanted to call out that we do know. We know that more than 1 million EVs were sold in 2023, and our research shows that EV buyers are generally more satisfied with the car buying process than their ICE counterparts, which is likely because EV buyers tend to do more of that shopping process online, and that saves them time. Now, almost two-thirds of car buyers who plan to purchase in the next 2 to 3 years are at least considering an EV of some kind, which is huge because we know consideration is the first step. And so when we educate and create awareness of what's out there, then consumers are more likely to consider an EV in their shopping set. So there's no doubt that EVs are part of our long-term auto retail future. And from a Cox Automotive standpoint, we're right there investing in and innovating in this space to make sure that the unknowns become well knowns, if you will, when it comes to selling and servicing EVs. So we now know what today's buyers are looking for and what they're looking like. They're sitting in a buyer's market. They're expecting us to use the data that they give us online to create connected experiences that enable them to shop and buy seamlessly online from their couch or in store in the showroom and everything in between. And they expect it all to happen with the intelligence that helps them feel confident in their purchase. So if we look ahead over the next year, we're going to continue to invest in building for that kind of ultimate buying experience, both for our customers, retailers, and of course the end consumer. So to keep us all working together, we're always partnering across dealers and manufacturers. We're super excited because we're in discussions with several OEMs now and have signed our first OEM certification on a next generation solution that's going to revolutionize dealer operations top to bottom. We're really excited about that. And in a few weeks, we're also going to be introducing a new strategic vision that enables this omni-channel selling approach that I've been talking about today and that I think we've all been aspiring to for a few years now. And it satisfies kind of all those paths to purchase to win today's car buyers of today and of tomorrow, while making sure that we're driving profitability for dealers. So we'll continue to build on AI-driven tools and leverage automation that I spoke about today. We're even using it inside our own operation to drive efficiency and effectiveness for our client operations teams as well. With all of this leveraging new technology and automation, it allows our teams to increase their engagement with our customers, reduce time to resolution, and kind of take products that help each of us run our businesses and, of course, bring new products to market as well. So you'll see us continue to educate on EV battery health. As I mentioned, that battery health side is specifically interesting to us, and we feel like we can really make a difference in the space, leveraging data and information across our Cox Automotive businesses and in the industry with our partners. So I know I threw a lot out there in the last 25 minutes or so, but I just want to thank you all for the time today. We covered a wide spectrum of content and updates, but I hope you leave today with a new knowledge of today's buyers and some useful information on just a few trends that we're seeing today and that are taking over our industry and will continue to be more and more relevant to how we serve our customers. In my 20 plus years in the car business, I've never had more confidence and faith that the keys to success are in our auto retailers' hands with new innovation and tech that's now delivering on what our consumers are really looking for out there and a more profitable business for retailers. And from a Cox Automotive standpoint, we couldn't be more prouder to be your partner along the way, of course. So thank you for the time today, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Jessica, thanks so much for joining us today. And again, if anyone has any questions, you can pass them along to me and I will pass them to Jessica, or you can email her at jessica.stafford@coxautoinc.com. Again, you will all be receiving a copy of this webinar, the slide deck, and the YouTube recording link by the end of this week. To those on the line, join us back here on Tuesday, June 11th at 2 p.m. Eastern as WarCloud and Citron team up to present options for finding and retaining great talent in fixed operations. For more information about AIADA, visit aiada.org. Thanks for tuning in and have a great day, everyone.